down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. Going into week 12 for the NFL. This is a whole weekend of football. We got games on basically every day. And Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, I am doing good. I am better than Bengals fans right now because the future looks really grim without Joe Burrow. And that is devastating. Just when they were putting it all together, they have to run into this. They're going to be starting Jake Browning, and that is not going to give anyone hope. Jake Browning was actually a promising college quarterback going, I think it was at Washington, and he was actually a Heisman candidate going into his senior year there at Washington, but it all fell apart, and then he ended up going undrafted, and here he is. I guess he's going to be getting the start, and Bengals fans are not happy about it, but what are you going to do? How are you, JJ? Oh, I called you JJ. Alex.
We were talking about the draft and JJ McCarthy just before we started
exactly
the show. So there's that. I'm good. I'm better than, let's see. Who am I better than? Yeah, I'm preemptively better than Seahawks fans because they just lost and they're about to lose real bad again this weekend.
Yeah,
that's why I'm better than I'm better than Pete Carroll and Seahawks fans. Absolutely.
Another injured quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's
crazy,
gonna.
Right?
Yeah,
and we've had so many starting quarterbacks get hurt this year.
Yeah,
so many are out for the season too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like damn near half the league. It's crazy.
Yeah. We should point them out as we go through the games here.
Yeah, it's almost surprising that the most injury-prone guys like Tua hasn't been among those.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is great. Well, we can point them out. I feel like at least half the league have to have started multiple quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, at least 16 teams, if not more.
Yeah, it's nuts. Absolutely crazy. But we'll go through them anyway. So before we get into that, we have a couple of games that we play every week. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving week, so we have some interesting ones. But the first thing I want to do this week is actually talk about the MVP conversation. Because we do it every week. Obviously, we give our power rankings. And I'm going to go first, as I guess I do every week. And I think it's been the same since week 1, is that I'm saying it's like a wide open competition and anything can happen. And also since week 1, I've picked Tua every week. And I'm still picking Tua this week. But I've been bombarded with statistics this week. I've been looking at a lot of stats. And statistically speaking, if Brock Purdy doesn't win MVP of the league, he will be by far the best single season quarterback in NFL history to not win the award. In fact, if the season ended today, this would be the best single season for any quarterback in NFL history ever. He's ahead of Patrick Mahomes' MVP year in pass rating. He's ahead of Kurt Warner's MVP pass rating, Peyton Manning's MVP pass ratings. He has to be either number 1 or 2. But the thing is, with the draft position, he won't be considered for the award in his first year of starting, which is unfortunate. I'm still going Tua because of bigger numbers, but statistically speaking, Purdy has been the best quarterback in the league this year, and it's not very close. What do you think?
Well, you blew my mind with that, saying that statistically he's the best quarterback ever. I was like, what? What? Really? QBR, though, right? Just QBR? Is that what we're...
Pass rating.
Oh, I'm sorry, pass rating. Not the made
up.
He
also stacks up favorably against someone like Jalen Hurts in every single stat except like rushing.
Yeah, obviously without the rushing. Lamar Hurts probably got him beat there. But yeah, speaking of that, I still have Tua also. I think it's his to lose at this point, because if he just maintains status quo for the rest of the season, I think Tua's going to win this. Hurts has something to say about it. Allen has started playing better, but he had too many bad games there. I think Purdy also has that 3-game stretch where he was pretty bad. But then again, all these quarterbacks have had bad games. Mahomes is almost second halving his way out of the running, because second halves of Chiefs games are absolutely horrible offensively. They have been really bad. And I don't know if that's a symptom of Eric Bieniemy gone or whatever's going on there, but it's bad. Goff is still in the running, but as for right now, I'm going to stick with Tua.
Yeah, Goff had a rough game as well.
True.
I think, like, there's some like dark horses here. Of course, we still have like a lot of the. I mean, we were talking about Burrow for a few weeks. Now he's out for the year, so that's gone. We're talking about Cousins. Now he's out. Mm-hmm. How many games do the Broncos have to win for us to talk about Russell Wilson in this?
Oh man, I have this whole thing planned. I want to talk about the Broncos when we get to them. But for to have that rough of a start to the season, they would have to win out completely in dominant fashion, I would imagine, for people to put Russell in that.
Russell Wilson right now is top 5 in passer rating, TD to interception ratio, half a point off from being top 5 in completion percentage.
He looks legit once again.
The record, yeah. But the record, it's the same issue as with Justin Herbert. It's a team record. They're not winning enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the same one. Justin Herbert's playing like an MVP. It's unbelievable what the Chargers are actually doing to lose the games for him. But
I didn't mention Lamar in my running also, but he has to be mentioned there because if they keep winning, I mean they've had a rough patch here and there, like the Browns or whatnot, but they are still really good, and I think Lamar will be in the running at the end of the season unless something happens. Yeah.
Probably will be going to but people need to talk about Brock Purdy more is what I'm going to say. We play this game called Guess the Biggest Spread, and it's exactly what it sounds like that it is. I need you to guess the biggest spread as of today, point of recording, Wednesday before the game. What's the biggest spread this weekend? Tell me.
Well, listen, this is another week where all of these games seem extremely close. This is a symptom of the parity, like I've talked about before. There may be 1 or 2 games that stand out, and I'm kind of torn between the two. I don't know if Ravens-Chargers will be that big of a spread, but that is not one of the two. I was just looking at it that the Ravens should be favored in that game because the Chargers are giving their season away also. But the two that I'm thinking of is Cowboys and Commanders, which I think that's going to be a lot closer than the odds maker probably would. And the Chiefs and Raiders, and the Chiefs can't score in the second half. So I think both of those games are going to be close in the end. But I guess I'll go with the Chiefs and the Raiders and see what you say.
I'm very surprised you didn't consider the Dolphins and Jets.
Jesus!
Did I? That?
Yeah,
but that's not it. That's not it.
Okay.
The right answer the right answer is actually the Cowboys are the biggest favorite against the Commanders. Yeah, the Chiefs obviously big favorites. So are the Dolphins. The Cowboys actually have the only double-digit spread this weekend, 12.5 at the moment at home on Thanksgiving. Big advantage. Big advantage for the Cowboys.
I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be closer than that. Yeah.
I would love for it to be, because this is like where the Cowboys' ideas of grandeur, where the whole world is seeing them. It's Thanksgiving and it's their whole thing. Be great. Nothing better than for them to lose a divisional game, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they lose in the end, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than the odds makers think there. I mean,
this to be entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going off of last week also when the Commanders dropped to the Giants and let Tommy DeVito score a bunch of points, but I don't think they're going to do that again, and it's a divisional matchup. We'll see.
Tommy was good.
He was.
Really
yeah. Extremely good.
Before we get into these predictions, let's hear how our standings are looking like from last week. Overall.
Yeah, another good week for me, I'll tell you that. We only disagreed on 3, and I thought halfway through Monday night that I was going to get all 3 of them. But unfortunately, you picked the Eagles, and they did win in the end because apparently,
they got there.
Like I said, the Chiefs can't play in the second half, and I really don't know why. You had the Bengals, I had the Ravens, and injury gave me favor in that one. You had the Vikings, and I had the Broncos, the post-hype sleeper Broncos. And
unbelievable.
They pulled that one out. Yeah, I was afraid Josh Dobbs was going to be entered into the MVP race at some point if something like this didn't happen, because the hype that was behind Josh Dobbs was getting ridiculous. I know everybody loves the Cinderella story. You love to see the underdog actually pull it out in the end, but things like that just don't last forever. You know, guys that come out of nowhere that have been not even capable of being backups in many places and being cut. You know, sometimes you can have a good run here and there, but they don't last long. I think that's what we're going to see with Josh Dobbs. But anyway, I had 2 correct, I guess it was 2 to your 1 on the ones we disagreed on. Total 10 for me, 9 for you, and for the total on the season, that brings me to 95 and you to 97. And if the Chiefs would have won, we would have been tied up.
Gap is closing. The gap is definitely closing. So I'm one game away from a tie now, so I gotta...
Yeah.
Man, how did that happen? I got like a big lead after 2 weeks, and then it just slowly evaporates.
Yeah, I think you had like 6 or 7 points on me at one point.
Yeah.
Happens every year, though.
It does happen every year, even though generally our year is worse than ever before. I think we're not doing very good this year.
Which
predictions?
I mean, 10, and there were some teams on bye, so we had 10 out of 13 or 14 games. Not bad. If we continue that up, we may close the gap from our previous seasons.
True. Definitely need to show up this week. There are no bye teams anymore, so bye weeks are over. We got 16 games, and let's see how many of them we can get. Starting off, of course, with the classics. Thanksgiving Thursday, we have the Packers at the Lions.
Yep, a lot of these are going to be tough, but I don't think this one is going to... Well, actually, you know what? The Lions were doing a imitation of the Vikings last week. They had to pull it out at the very end, and I was fearing for the Lions against the Bears. I thought that the Bears were going to win most of that game. But they did. They come back at the end. Does that look good for the Lions, or does it look bad? It depends on how you look at it. Are you a pessimist or optimist? Glass half full, glass half empty. Either way, the Lions won in the end. So did the Packers against the Chargers. I think that's more of a symptom of the Chargers being... I ain't gonna say the Chargers are bad, but they're giving games away. No doubt about it. Fire Staley. But here, I think the Lions, you can't really go against them. I'm gonna have to pick the Lions at home.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think this is probably the best season in franchise history at this point, which for a team like the Lions has been long overdue. And the fact that they're doing it after that Matthew Stafford exchange, right? They traded him for Goff, and we felt like that is the big tank. Like that means they're giving up on an era and they're going to use a rebuild. And to a degree they did, but I think we didn't expect them to rebuild and finish the rebuild and then become good still with Goff at the helm. But that's what they've been doing. And Dan Campbell's done a great job. Lions are looking fantastic. They're in for currently number 2 seed in the NFC, and they can jump up to the 1 seed. They're an extremely capable team offensively. They're really, really good, and this is a good chance on national TV to pay back 20 years of beatdowns to the Packers. Even though the Lions actually are on a winning streak against the Packers, and that includes last year with Aaron Rodgers, the Lions have beaten the Packers 4 times in a row. Which is a statistic I think most people didn't expect. I think they're making it 5 and declaring dominance over this division once and for all. This year, Lions win at home. We have the Washingtons at the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, yeah, that is a crazy trend. The Lions used to just be submissive to the Packers for so many years. The Commanders and the Cowboys, yeah. The Cowboys are, I don't know, like I said, it's going to be close, but you can't pick against the Cowboys. With that margin of a spread there.
Yeah, 12.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I want the Commanders to win in the end, and I do think it's going to be kind of a shootout, but I can't do it. I can't force myself to pick the Commanders here. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick the Cowboys as well. Though I am setting up this, like every week I'm trying to set up this moment where I can finally pick against Dallas. I can finally make that, and even if they're 10-point favorites, Cowboys are gonna lose. But it never quite feels right just yet. I know it will happen. It'll happen eventually, and I'll be there for it when it does. But I don't know if I'll be there to pick it, unfortunately, because the odds just aren't in my favor. And now that I have to actually play decent defense in the predictions game, with the gap being at an all-time low of 2 games, I have to pick Dallas here. Of course, I won't be rooting for them. I'll be rooting for Washington big time in that game. Not a better time to lose for Dallas than this, but have to pick them, have to be reasonable. Niners at Seattle.
Yeah, this is another divisional game that could backfire for the 49ers here. Like I said, Pete Carroll always finds a way to win, except for when he doesn't, and the Rams got one over on them last week. But Stafford was back, so I guess it doesn't look too bad on the Seahawks. But with Geno injured, I don't know what this team's going to look like if he's not out there. I think as of right now, Geno is planning on playing, so maybe there's not too much to worry about. But then again, this is the 49ers, and when they are on their game, they may just be the best team in the entire NFL. The defense is great. The offense is humming. Brandon Ayuk is an absolute superstar. Don't know why he disappears for games on end, because he probably is. Debo's great. No doubt about it. Kittle is great. Debo might be the best receiver on that entire team. Taking the 49ers on the road.
Taking the Niners on the road as well. I am very glad that these teams do not have the same record. I'm glad that the Rams took care of business when I believed it the least, and had this furious fourth quarter comeback. It was great for the world, great for the economy and the social welfare and everything. It was wonderful for united the nation. But the Niners obviously have to take care of business this week as well. At Seattle, it's never a good place to play. But in recent times, Kyle Shanahan has had this division on lock. And even if teams are good, the Rams were good for a while. The Seahawks were good for a while. We've been beating them very consistently. And I am betting on that continuing on, as Brock Purdy has shown that his rise back up after that 3-game downswing wasn't a fluke. Consistently dispatched the Jaguars now. Great job against Tampa Bay as well. Unfortunate injury to Hufanga, the defensive last year first team All-Pro safety. That's a bigger loss than a lot of people realize, but I believe they'll be able to patch it up. Seattle isn't entirely healthy either. Niners are the most talented team, and this is a big game, because if they win this, they are putting some distance between themselves and Seattle for the division. So this is a very key game. I'm glad I get to see it on Thanksgiving as well. Taking the Niners to win at Seattle. They are 7-point favorites, by the way, which seems like almost a lot to me. I don't know if that's too much or if that's fine, but 7 points for the Niners. We have the Dolphins at the Jets in the first ever, I believe, Black Friday game.
Yeah, I don't think they did that last year. I know Amazon has gotten a few games over the past few years, but don't recall Black Friday. I'd have to look back and see, though. The Dolphins are really good. One of the best teams in the entire NFL. I feel like they're hitting their slump. I think it started with that Germany game against the Chiefs, which they almost pulled that out also. The problem is, even in their slumps, they're good enough to still win. Some teams, when they hit their slump in the middle of the season, it's just all losses. But the Dolphins, they're just that talented. They can still win through a slump. This should be the get-right game right here. The Jets are absolutely bad, and Zach Wilson is not going to be starting this. Who is it? Nick Boyle? No, Nick Boyle's the tight end. Tim Boyle? Todd Boyle? Yeah, but the backup should be playing... Yeah, Boyle, whatever his first name is. Nick Boyle was the tight end, I believe. But, yeah, the Jets are bad. The Dolphins are good. This should be a get-right game. This should be a blowout in the end. I'm taking the Dolphins on the road.
Taking the Dolphins as well. Jets. Zach Wilson's benched. Aaron Rodgers has said he wants to come back by week 16, which would be completely crazy. I mean, that is less than 4 months for torn Achilles for a 40-year-old guy, by the way. I believe they're only going to let him, or he's only, like, his common sense will only let him do that if they are in playoff contention. Like, if they have to win the last 2 games to make the playoffs, he'll probably come back if he's cleared. Other than that, there's absolutely no reason for him to do it, and right now it's not looking like that's going to be the case, with the Bills kind of catching their drift again, and the Dolphins are running away with the division. Doesn't look too good for the Jets. Looks like a down year, and they'll have to reload and come back again next year. If they want to stay in it, they have to win this one, and it would be a big upset and a big impact win if they can do it, but I don't believe so. I think the Dolphins will take care of them, dispatch the Jets, and move on to win this division. And Tua still an MVP course, of course. He's going to have to put up some numbers against a very good defense, so this could be an important one for his campaign as well. But I do believe in Mike McDaniel ultimately and the Dolphins. This is the one you've been waiting for here. So on Sunday, we got the Saints at your Falcons.
Listen, it doesn't matter which one I pick here. The other team is going to win. It doesn't matter. This game right here is a loss for me. You don't even know which one I'm going to pick yet, but it's going to be a loss because I don't even know which one I want to pick. It's going to be a loss. If I pick the Saints, the Falcons are going to pull it out. If I pick the Falcons, the Saints are going to pull it out. That's just how it works. Arthur Smith is the opposite of why did I blank on the name? The Seattle coach. Why am I blanking on his name? Who's Seattle's head coach? Pete Carroll, yes. So it makes me so frustrated to talk about this guy. But Arthur Smith is the opposite of Pete Carroll. He's like the negative Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll always finds a way to win. Arthur Smith always finds a way to lose. Yes, it goes the opposite direction from time to time, but Arthur Smith is the opposite Pete Carroll. I don't like him, and hopefully his stay in Atlanta is not that long. You know what? One more time. I said this last time, and it was 2 weeks ago because of the bye. I said I'm going to pick the Falcons, but if they lose this, I am done picking the Falcons. I'm going to go back on that right now. Because if the Falcons do pull it out, Desmond Ridder is going to start this game, which I feel better about that than with Taylor Heineke. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pick the Falcons. They're gonna let me down. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter which one I pick. I'm going with the Falcons at home.
I don't know what to do here for sure. This game is a pick'em. Actually, a pick'em to the sports books as well. There is no spread in this game, so it really is. You might as well flip a coin. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to flip a coin. Give me a second. Okay. Heads is the Saints, and tails is the Falcons. And we got. Okay, that's the Falcons. I'm picking the Falcons. That's my decision process. I have obviously not much stake in this game. Though I would prefer the Falcons to win. I must say I do like them over the Saints. And I believe the Saints currently do have a game or half a game lead in the division. Is that correct? I believe that's the case. So if the Falcons won, it would actually be a closer race. So that's what I'm banking on. The Bucs just lost. Panthers are obviously out of it. This is crucial for the division. And this is only the first time they play this year, if I'm right about that. So we will see this a second time. Falcons win this game. At home, very critical. If they don't, I don't know if Arthur Smith's job is in danger during the season, but after the season, like you said, it'll probably be in serious consideration. So I'm going Falcons, rooting for the Falcons. I guess you have hope in Desmond Ridder starting. He's gonna get it done. Saints are without Michael Thomas again. He's going to IR. So time to strike. Falcons get it done. Steelers at the Bengals.
Well, speaking of a coach with their job in danger, actually it's not even in danger anymore. It is over. It's done. Matt Canada has been fired. He is no longer the offensive coordinator. And that offense is atrocious. I was not with it at first because he was great as a college coach, right? I was not with it at first. I was like, come on, he's going to pull it together at some time. But watching that game last week, it was so frustrating how bad the Steelers were on offense. They could not gain a first down to save their life. The only first downs it seemed like they had were when they first got the ball from a punt or a kickoff or whatever, man. It was so bad. But here we are. Matt Canada's gone. I wonder if the 2-game bump actually works for offensive coordinators. I haven't looked too much into that trend, but on the other side, the Bengals are going to start Jake Browning, like I said. So there is the beginning of your 2-game bump. I will be taking the Steelers on the road.
I'm also taking the Steelers on the road. This is not that difficult of a pick. They get the 2-game bump because the whole fan base is ecstatic that Matt Canada is gone. Wanted him fired forever. They expected that Pickett to Pickens combination to do a lot more than it has been doing. Also, same for the run game. He drafted Najee Harris a couple of years ago, and he hasn't really fully lived up to expectations, though he's been a consistent back. I think the Steelers overall are probably going to get that bump. The Bengals, of course, are down in the dumps big without Joe Burrow. We know what that team looked like before Joe Burrow, and with him out at this point, I think there's not much hope for like a playoff push this year. So they are going to lose, and this is the first time we picked. Or no, it's not the first time we picked a road team. We picked the Niners and the Dolphins. They're both on the road. So yeah, I'm going with the Steelers over the Bengals as well. Jacksonville at the Texans.
This should be a really good game, actually, because both of these teams are on a heater right now. No one would have thought that 10 games into the season, the Texans would be sitting at 6-4, but here they are, and the Jaguars are at 7-3. This feels like for the division right here. They may play again later in the season, but right now it feels like whoever wins this game is most likely to win the division. And it makes it tough because CJ Stroud is really good, and when the Jaguars are on, Trevor Lawrence looks amazing. Now, against the 49ers, not so much. But against the Titans, he looked like a world beater. He looked like an elite MVP level quarterback. And Calvin Ridley actually caught fire in that game also, which he had been on the back of a milk carton for quite some time. Calvin Ridley versus Tank Dell. Trevor Lawrence versus CJ Stroud. This is like a big-time college football matchup here. I'm going to take the Jaguars on the road.
This is a difficult one to pick. I think it's really, really hard. Man, I'm really feeling the Texans in this one, and I'm picking them. I'm taking Houston.
Wow.
I believe they're going to be the more energetic team. Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars are the better team. They're the more experienced team, of course, with Doug Peterson, huge advantage on paper, experience-wise, over D'Amico Ryans, and same for Trevor Lawrence, who's the more established quarterback and better quarterback at this point still than CJ Stroud, even though Stroud's been great. I think this is going to be an energy game, and I think the Texans will have the extra energy in this one. It's a divisional game, and look at what happens to the standings here if the Texans are able to win this one. Suddenly it's like nothing's very clear anymore. And by the way, the Jaguars are 1-point favorites in this game. 1 point. That's not much.
No.
There's something there. It's not a tangible thing, but there is something here that would say this game is going to be closer, it's going to be murky, something's happening here. I think the Texans are going to come in and they're going to run over them. I think they're just going to play faster and with more energy. They're going to want it more. Because the Jaguars have shown the tendency to be complacent and then subsequently get blown out this year. I feel the Texans. I feel the Texans' energy, and I think they're going to win this one. Bucks and the Colts.
Yeah, this is a tough one here. The Bucks are coming off of a disappointing loss to the 49ers, but it's the 49ers. I guess you can let them have that. The Colts, on the other hand, are hot and cold. I don't know. I just say the Colts are mediocre. I can't really say they're good. They're better than what everyone expected when Richardson went out, which I think they'd still be in the exact same position if Richardson was still playing. Gardner Minshew is absolutely serviceable. I've said it so many times. Makes this a really tough call. Do you have the spread pulled up for this one? Because I am curious.
Spread for the Bucks. Yeah. Let me see. Yes, Colts are 2.5 points. Basically nothing. Okay. At home.
Yeah, so basically just because they're at home. That feels about right. You know what? I'm gonna go with what should be the more potent offense, and Baker Mayfield. He's going to play hero ball and get it done on the road here.
The Bucs were not as bad as many thought against the Niners. They fell down. They got ran over at the start of the second half. Were down 3 possessions and they didn't come back. But the game itself wasn't as obvious as you would have thought it were, and as the score during most of it might have suggested. The Bucs were definitely fighting. They were playing fine. They were making stops, and they were advancing the ball on offense. Turnovers hurt them, but they played better than a lot of teams play when they play against a team like the Niners. So I actually have faith in the Bucs as well. I think they're going to win here at Indianapolis. The Colts just cut Darius Leonard. I have to imagine over just money reasons, because they don't see themselves in a position to compete this year, and they're kind of going into a little soft rebuild. He's cleared the waivers now, so we'd expect any team to pick him up very, very soon. Presumably even before the games kick off this week. We'll see what happens there. But at the time of recording, he hasn't been claimed. But that's a big piece that's missing for the Colts. And I'm thinking Bucs. Bucs on the road. I think they get it together and they get it done. And they win. Patriots and the New York Giants. That's a tank bowl.
Oh my God, really it is. Bailey Zappi is likely to be the starter here. Unless they're going with Malik Cunningham or something. I'm assuming it'll be Bailey Zappi. We may actually, outside of injury, we may have seen the final Mac Jones starting game. Unless there's an injury coming up, but who knows? The Patriots are a dumpster fire. On the other side, the Giants actually looked really, really good. What a surprise. No one expected that. Literally, no one expected the Giants to come out and blow out anyone in the NFL. People were saying the Giants were the worst team in the NFL, especially with Tommy DeVito. But maybe there's something to this Heisman winner. Regardless of division, he had to be pretty good to be a Heisman winner. And because of the division, is probably why he went unnoticed in the draft. But here he is. Maybe he can put something together. The guy's got swag, I'll tell you that. That's why I'm going to go with him. I think that Tommy DeVito might just be better than Bailey Zappi, and I will take the Giants at home.
Wow, okay. You know what? He's had a good game. I'll give you that. Giants definitely on and up. But I'm going with the Patriots in this one. I think Patriots still have the tendency to beat on teams that are disorganized, which is one thing the Patriots aren't. This team is not disorganized. They're just really bad. Their roster is horrible. They don't have any talent, and the little talent they did have got hurt, especially on defense. I could argue their 3 best players this season got hurt. 2 of them are one a potential defensive rookie of the year and one a multiple year MVP candidate. But they are organized, so what they're not going to do is they're not going to make mistakes as much. They're not going to have bad calls and delay of games and unnecessary fumbles and hiccups in special teams and that kind of thing, which is exactly what the Giants do and have done, even with Daniel Jones, and with more uncertainty tend to do even more so. So yes, while Tommy DeVito had a great game, and certainly he is a fun underdog story to root for, I think this is going to be the Patriots taking this one home at the Giants. It's definitely not going to be a watchable game, and I think no one's going to have this on their main screen as the main game, unless you're a fan of one of those teams, in which case even then you might not really watch it because it's so bad. But yeah, not watchable. I'm probably not going to pay very close attention to it live, but I think the Patriots win this one in a low scoring though. I'm going to say under 20 points, but the Patriots win. Panthers and the Titans.
Yeah, probably low scoring for sure because the offensive line is so bad. But yeah, Panthers and the Titans. Tank Bowl. This is another Tank Bowl. I mean, Titans are 3-7 right now, and we know the Panthers have the worst record in the entire NFL. This is Tank Bowl. Neither one of them actually need a new quarterback, but they could always trade picks here. I think Will Levis is going to be their quarterback of the future unless Mike Vrabel just gets a wild hair and decides he wants Michael Penix or one of the guys coming up. Doubt it, though. I think Will Levis, once he develops, he's going to be a very serviceable quarterback. So that's why I will be taking the Titans at home.
I'll also take the Titans, though I will say, quarterback-wise, I don't really know where they're going. They seem like they've drafted quarterbacks in back-to-back years, and Malik Willis was bad, and they didn't really give him the time to develop either, so they just kind of wrote him off. Levis showed a bit more promise. I don't know if they'll be willing to give him a full year or two after this season, which is what he should be getting as a as a young quarterback, if they really want to make him that guy. I think a lot of quarterbacks, potentially good quarterbacks, never get to that point because as a quarterback in the NFL, if you within the first 10 games you start, you don't perform and really show up, you're kind of considered bad forever. It doesn't matter what you do after that, or if you do anything after that, you kind of just considered bad, and you're never really getting that shot, which is, a problem for teams that are looking for a quarterback. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by not being patient. At least I feel like that's what happens. Not saying that that's what's going to happen with Will Levis, but I'm not confident that they believe that he'll be able to start next year. I hope they will try it, because when he's good, he looks very good, but not confident because they didn't do that with Willis either. So we'll see how it goes. And Bryce Young, the same thing, by the way. Now, he's the first overall pick, so by default, he should be getting another year just because we really know what he can turn into. Panthers have a lot of work to do, obviously. In this one, though, Titans are going to win with the ground game. We have another divisional matchup here in the NFC West. The Rams and the Cardinals.
Oh, I do want to say this, though. I think sometimes managers or coaches and managers, they fear for their job with these quarterbacks. Like Arthur Smith, he sees... you can see the flashes in Desmond Ridder. Anyone watching these games can see that he has flashes of greatness. He just needs to be developed. But they get scared. They're like, oh my God, my job's on the line. I'm not going to make it down the line to be able to develop this quarterback. Let me bring in my trusty backup, and then that fails. And then he's like, oh, what do I do now? Either way. Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams pulled out the win, and the Cardinals pulled out the loss. Even with Kyler Murray, this team can't win. Unless it's against the Falcons, then you can win. Everybody gets a win. It's like Oprah. Everybody gets a win. Look under your chair. There's a win under there. You can have it. But the Rams are much better now that Stafford is back, and they can get wins. The Cardinals, even with their quarterback back, gets losses. That's my reasoning here. I think the Rams, it is without Cooper Kupp, though. Remember that. But Puka Nacua is the new Cooper Kupp, so we'll give them that. The Rams on the road.
Yeah, see, the Rams have already done their job, right? Which was just you had to beat Seattle, and anything can happen within the division. I'm going with Cardinals. I don't know why. I'm kind of feeling like it. I'm going Arizona. I feel like the Rams have played their Super Bowl last week against Seattle, and they threw off the co-division leader at the time. I think they're due for a down game, especially on the road. This is one where anything can happen. I'm feeling like Arizona's pulling this one out. I think they'll come out swinging like they did early on in the season. If you remember, Arizona, they had the first couple of games, they just came out to 10 or even 17-point leads in some of those games, and then just kind of gave them away and didn't finish. But I think they'll start be able to do that now. Feeling like Arizona's getting this one. So yeah, taking the Cardinals. Though maybe if they're just full tank mode, then they don't really care about winning that much either because they want a high pick. But yeah, I'm going Cardinals. I think because it's a divisional game, they'll perform and they'll get it done. Browns and Broncos.
Yeah, that does feel bold. Okay, yeah. The Broncos, the post-hype sleepers. It's coming to fruition. I thought the trend lets me down at some point. I was like, okay, so this is the season it doesn't work. But here they are. They're on, what is this, a 4-game win streak? I looked back at week 5 through 8 in the power rankings on NFL.com. Had them listed at 28th because they were just that bad. Sean Payton was bad. And everybody's like, look at Nathaniel Hackett. He's over there with the Jets. They are winning. That's a good team, right? Now, here we are. Sean Payton's winning. And Nathaniel Hackett looks pretty horrible. They have moved up to 17. And I expect them to keep winning. I know the Browns are really good, but not good enough with DTR at quarterback. They really have a great defense, and that's what's keeping them together. But you're not going to win scoring 10 to 15 points a game in the end, especially with the Broncos. Now that this D line is coming together, they're going to hurt DTR in this game. He can move a little bit, so it is what it is. The Broncos will win this one at home and extend their win streak.
Okay. All right. So this post-hype sleeper thing, this is a good example for the post-hype sleeper thing you keep talking about, actually, because last year everyone was high on the Broncos and they absolutely stunk, and then this year everyone was skeptical on the Broncos, and they're not like they're not great or anything, they're not really in playoff contention super high yet, and they sucked at the start, but then they kind of gotten better. So maybe you can call it like the second half of the season post-hype sleeper. Because if they were still hyped at the start of the season, that also vanished. And then after all of that fell off, now they're finally rising. I'm having a hard time making a pick here because I don't really sympathize with either of these teams very much. But give me the Browns. Yeah, I'll take I feel like the Broncos have won too many games recently, and they kind of need to be put in their place a little bit. Don't want them to feel like any sort of special things happening there, especially guys like Wilson and Sean Payton. I don't really like any of the characters in charge over there, so I'm taking the Browns. Not that I like them very much either, but I think they'll be able to get it done. Not even that I really believe they're better or they should win, but like, I want them to, so that's the pick I'm making. I feel like we're having a lot of disagreements this week that are based on games that I want to have a certain outcome.
Yeah.
Same with the Cardinals. Maybe that's why I keep losing points and we're almost tied in total. But we'll see. Chiefs and Raiders.
Yeah. The Raiders actually lost because that was the end of their 2-game bump. That's how these trends work. You have to take the loss on the third game. It never not happens, and here you are, Raiders. You lost. I am hearing a lot that the players are really bought into Antonio Pierce, though. That they really like this guy, and they want to play for him, whereas they didn't before under Josh McDaniels, and I don't blame them. Josh McDaniels is a tool, and who would want to play for him? But this is the Chiefs. No second-hand offense, as I said, so I expect the Raiders to actually do some work and make this game really close in the second half. But the Chiefs are going to come out swinging. The first half, they're going to put up 21 points at least, and I think against these Raiders, that's going to be enough to hold them off because it's still the Chiefs, and they're still going to be deep into the playoffs this year, regardless of how bad they are on offense in the second half. I'm taking the Chiefs on the road.
Yeah, I think you can't not pick Kansas City here. They don't really lose back-to-back games. It's not something they've done in many, many years. And this one against Philadelphia, while they did absolutely give it away, and they're just not, even though their record's still very good, they're just not looking like they have the last couple of years. This is the Raiders. They're in pretty deep trouble. I think they'll have a new coach pretty soon, if not next year. So the Raiders already did fire Josh McDaniels, right?
Yes.
Why did I not catch it? Yeah, he's already gone anyway. Yeah. My brain is lagging still. They're already past the 2-game bump, which we said they were playing the Dolphins third game and they were going to put an end to it, and they did. And now the Chiefs will absolutely bury them for sure. Kansas City goes to Vegas and wins. In probably not a very exciting game, but they get it done. What will be an exciting game, however, is the Bills at the Eagles.
I feel like the Eagles were put to the gauntlet, right? Like, you got to play the AFC teams that were all in the playoffs last year. It feels like they're making the Eagles run the gauntlet, and somehow the Eagles are still going to win it. I mean, they got the win over the Chiefs, and now the Bills. It's elite quarterback gauntlet, if nothing else. Because the Bills look so good. They fire their offensive coordinator and get a 2-game bump also. I was really going to pick the Eagles, but now I'm wondering if the 2-game bump is going to work for the Bills also. Man, the Bills might pull this one off. I bet the Eagles are favored, especially after beating the Chiefs, right? Oh man, I hope the bad Bills don't show up, because I'm going out on a limb right here, and I was going to pick the Eagles. I'm picking the Bills on the road.
Oof. The Eagles are favored by a lot less than you would think. Given they're at home, they're favored by 3.5. That's not a lot for a home team.
Wow.
So clearly we all know the Bills are a dangerous team. Clearly we know when the Bills play the way they should and up to their ability, these teams are very evenly matched. The Bills have not consistently done that this year. And while the Eagles haven't played like last year, they've still played more consistently close to what they can do. And I believe that'll continue. I'm taking the Eagles. While rooting for the Bills heavily, I will take the Eagles to get it done at home. It's always more difficult to play on the road, especially in a stadium like Philly, who was just voted the most annoying fan base by NFL players, by the way. If you haven't seen that poll, I highly recommend go look it up. But yes, Eagles win at home. I'm rooting for the Bills, 100%. But saying the Eagles get it done. They are more consistent. I think that defense will force one more mistake and ultimately win. We have, let's see. Yep, we have the, oh my god, the Chargers hosting the Ravens.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, the thing about the Eagles is I've been saying that on this podcast for many years, that they have probably the most annoying, if not the worst fan base in the NFL. The Bills have a crazy fan base. They're fun. Like, it's fun to see what kind of antics those guys get into. The Eagles just are full of hatred and vitriol toward everyone, and they're just so vulgar. But we're going to lose some viewers if there's Eagles fans watching right now. But the Ravens and the Chargers, the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. The Chargers like to give games away, so that's going to be my reasoning here. I think this could turn into a shootout. Hard to tell. Without Mark Andrews, Lamar's going to have to look for some new targets out there. The Chargers should be so much better. I know they have injuries on offense too. But until we fire Staley, I think the Chargers are going to continue to lose. They might pull out a game here and there and win, but not against the Ravens. The Ravens are too good. Fire Staley, they'll get the 2-game bump. But for right now, I'm going with the Ravens on the road.
Yeah, I think you took it away at the start of the show as well. With Chargers need a coaching change. It's yes. About time, and you can't keep doing this to Justin Herbert. When every member of your team is constantly making mistakes, like you have guys like Keenan Allen, longtime Pro Bowler, like dropping passes. You got Quentin Johnson, college standout first-round pick, dropping wide open passes. That's not like an individual guy who's just bad. That's coaching issues. That's discipline issues. We've seen this with teams. This is a systematic issue, a coaching issue. The defense sucks for a defensive head coach, by the way. Your quarterback is the only player who's contributing. Brandon Staley insists on calling the defense again and again and again. Consistently underperforms. He's had defenses, I believe, with 4 All-Pros on the field at the same time. And absolutely nothing came of it. Constant mistakes, constant penalties, underperforming, just can't get it done. Special teams chokes at the end of games. And I mean, the kind of passes against this Packers game is just, it's a joke. I think you're absolutely wasting a generational quarterback talent at this point. And I was thinking for a long time they'd be able to make it work. They're not. They need a new coach, either now or at the end of the season. An overhaul, maybe more offensive-minded, and delegate the defense to a competent coordinator. This is not the way that the Chargers will ever land on top. It's been too many years now, and I fully agree with you on that one. That being said, I will take the Ravens reluctantly, because of course I like the Chargers better, but nah. Can't trust them as far as you can throw them. So I will take the Ravens. And the Bears and the Vikings to close it out on Monday night.
Yeah, I thought you were saying, and I'll be taking the Bears. I do not believe that for 1 minute. I think you're picking the Vikings here. This is tough, though, because the Vikings came back down to earth. Like I said, everybody loves the Cinderella story. They love to root for the underdog, but these things don't last forever. That's just how life works. It's cool to see the Vikings win, but no one thinks Josh Dobbs... Well, actually, some people got on board and thought Josh Dobbs was going to win a Super Bowl. Conspiracy theories tied into that also, but, yeah, I don't know.
Purple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not going to happen, though. Josh Dobbs is not going to win a Super Bowl. It's just... If Cam Newton couldn't win a Super Bowl, Josh Dobbs is not going to win a Super Bowl. Because he's like the dollar store version of Cam Newton. And look at him side by side, and you're like, wow, it looks like I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna pick on the guy because of the way he looks, but you just look at him side by side, you'll get it. Yeah. I don't know. The Bears are much better with Justin Fields out there. He's getting beat up though. He's not gonna last long with that style of play. It can't last long. He gets beat up so much. And that's all he has at this point, right? Because he's not connecting downfield, except for a few great passes to DJ Moore, because DJ Moore is just that good. Cole Kmet is a hell of a tight end also. So those two guys are the bright spots out there. But Justin Fields' game is just to run and run into defenders and get beat up. And then he breaks his hand, rips his fingernails off and all that. You don't do that if you stay in the pocket. They can't kill you in the pocket. It's against the rules. But if you run out there, you're a runner, you're going to get tackled, you're going to get beat up. And your career is not going to last long. For this, I know you're picking the Vikings. I'm going to go against you. I'm picking the Bears on the road.
Man, how many games have we disagreed on already this week? It must be like 5, right? Yeah, I'm taking Minnesota. I think this might be the most disagreed week we've had in a long time. Mm-hmm. I feel like you've argued against Justin Fields a bunch and then picked him just now. Yeah, unless I missed your point that he's like. okay, good. So I'm not going insane. So you did do that. All right. Yeah. I mean, the Vikings didn't look great last week. The Bears looked all right, given they were playing the Lions and were in it for a long time. Mm-hmm. But on the note that it's probably not the Vikings, the purple thing. Good news for the Niners, of course, because then purple has to be the Ravens.
Yes.
And then the red team has to be an NFC team, which is very, very good news for me. I like that a lot. Brock Purdy can get that team to a Super Bowl. My God, that'd be amazing. But Vikings win this one. I'm saying this with very little confidence in my voice, as you can tell, given what I've seen last week. I know the Bears are capable of doing that. But I still like the Josh Dobbs story. And I think they're just a slightly better team overall still. You know, the Bears at this point, what pick are the Bears on if the season ended? Are they do they pick second overall or something, third?
It's definitely Panthers are definitely number 1.
Panthers are 1, yeah. I don't know right now, but the Bears aren't very good. Vikings are at least better than the Bears. They've been somewhat consistently good after an equally terrible start. I remember both of those teams were 3-0 at one point, along with Denver and the Panthers, and then all 4 of those teams were playing each other. Now we're seeing another one. It's a divisional game. Vikings win at home. If nothing else, I'm picking the home team. If I don't like one over the other, I'm picking home team. So Minnesota gets it done against the Bears. That's all I have. For college, I don't have to ask. You're on the Georgia train.
Oh, absolutely. Another brilliant beatdown by the Bulldogs here. They're actually improving. Like, they were dropping to number 2 and number 3 in certain polls, and now they're back to number 1. Because if you put together back-to-back dominant performances against high-ranked teams, they have no choice. I mean, Ohio State is still lethal. I know that. I think Michigan is dropping. They had a bad week, even though they haven't lost yet. Without Harbaugh in there, they are dropping. The team just doesn't look as good, and I think they're going to continue to get worse and probably lose to Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins the Big Ten this year. On the other than that, Florida State is not as good as advertised. I don't know who's going to beat them. Maybe Florida will. Maybe Florida, because Florida looks good at certain points in time. Maybe they can do that. If not, we're probably going to see them in the playoffs because some of these other teams have to take a loss. It's just how it works. Oregon's probably going to win out. I think they beat Washington in the championship. But, yes, as for right now, I am on the Georgia train, and don't you dare try to get on it.
Because I'm a curse, obviously.
Yes.
I've done it multiple
absolutely.
times. I've done it to Air Force and to James Madison. I don't know what trade. I mean, how is Washington still alive? I mean, they have so many close calls. Now they just survived against Oregon State, who now play Oregon, by the way. That'll be a good one. I don't dare get on the Oregon train again because I know what happened last time I did that. And one thing I shouldn't probably even point it out because I know what's going to happen, but Liberty is ranked for the first time this year at 11-0. Undefeated Liberty finally ranked in the top 25. They are going to lose this week, and I apologize up front. I know they're going to lose. They're playing against Texas El Paso.
Yeah.
But they're losing. For sure they're losing.
If they lose to UTEP, that would be a shame, man. That'd be all your fault, of course.
It will, of course it will be. Obviously it will be, but I'm holding out hope. Maybe one time I can be right. But they're not the kind of team to make the playoff anyway or anything. No. I was hoping for Air Force maybe, but FSU is undefeated, but it feels like, I mean, we said they would probably be the odd one out anyways if multiple teams went undefeated. And now with the injury,
yes,
I mean, they don't have their quarterback. It's going to be like, he's going to be done for the year for sure. Even if it came down to them versus any of the top 4 teams and they were all undefeated, just based on that, I don't think the committee would put them in because they just wouldn't give them a good enough chance in that regard, I believe. So, yeah, no, I think they're probably done for, even though they are undefeated and they might remain undefeated.
Yeah,
the question, of course, the way they get in is like, what happens if Oregon beats Washington eventually? They both have a loss, and Florida State is one of 4 undefeated teams.
Ooh. In that case,
hard, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll look at the quarterback loss and say, you know, that this team is not as good as they once were. But it's really hard to put an undefeated out of the playoff. You know, they would catch so much flack for
even though
for
Ohio State, Michigan would both beat them convincingly in the playoff if you put them in. But because one of them is bound to lose a game, and so is Washington or Oregon, then you have to put the word. Oregon already has lost one.
Yeah, they did. But Oregon and Oregon State would beat Florida State right now. Without their quarterback. Yes, even Oregon State with DJ Uyunglele they would beat Florida State right now.
By the way,
DJ's looking good.
A lot of people don't know this, but I say it to you every time. But DJ, I'm not going with the last name, right? Ukulele or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It was in, I think, like 4 years ago or something. It was between him and Bryce Young for the best recruit in the nation in terms of quarterback. When DJ was playing for like DJ and Bryce Young were playing for the top 2 high schools in California, and it used to always be like St. John Bosco versus Mater Dei for like whoever gets, like, that was the California championship, and whoever won got to play IMG in the national championship. And I don't remember who of them won, but I remember when they played each other because it was a huge deal. It was like the biggest high school game in many, many years because of those 2 quarterbacks. And a lot of people had them very, very close. And I just want to say I was on Bryce Young then before he had even committed to Alabama. And I just wanted to note that I was correct. Okay, I was correct in picking Bryce Young then when they were both like 17 or something. But we'll see what happens with DJ. I mean, he'll be in the NFL at some point, and
absolutely, yeah.
Maybe he'll be good.
He's been better since he got away from Clemson. Actually,
yeah, he was Clemson commit, set behind Trevor Lawrence, I think, his first year, and never really turned out good.
They started him, but Clemson was on the decline. But now that he's been out at Oregon State, much like Bo Nix, getting away from Auburn was a really good deal for him. He would have never been a first-round pick at Auburn. But being in the Pac-12, you are a first-round pick because that's a quarterback league. That's why quarterbacks end up transferring out there to make it. But the thing about that is that Elite 11 class, I think it was 2018 or 2019. Probably 2019. Yeah, I think so. but there are so many stars. You ever get a chance, look back at that Elite 11 class for that year. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Carson Beck, DJ Uiagalelei. It's always fun to say his name. But several others that are huge names in college and in the NFL right now. What a great class that was, man.
Absolutely. I'm on the Alabama train. Still ranked 8. Still not above Texas. Still number 8.
They can't do it.
They can't do it. But they're gonna absolutely stomp on Auburn one more time. Yeah. Extend the record a little bit, Iron Bowl history record. And then it's Georgia week. Then it's time for destiny, right?
Yep, that's gonna be the big one.
Can't
dude, Auburn got beat by a school they paid $1.8 million to come play them. Who was it? I even forgot who it was. But it was like, a directional nowhere university. They got
New Mexico
stomped
State.
up. Was it New Mexico State? Yeah.
New Mexico State. 31-10. That's a bad beat too.
Oh my God! What a horrible game. Auburn, what are you doing? You guys got Scott Frost there now, and you're getting beat like that.
I will say this: Auburn had a 1-score game against Georgia earlier this year.
Oh, they did. Close. Yeah. Georgia had a slump. There's no doubt about it. Georgia had a slump there at the first of the year.
While Auburn isn't good and they've lost to every ranked opponent they played, they're not like complete scrubs, and they know this is their biggest game of the year. It's the Iron Bowl is their biggest game every year. But Bama's getting this done. Yeah. If they lose to Auburn, I mean, I don't know. That would be.
Listen, they almost got beat by a nobody university also earlier this year. It ended up being like it was like a 16-3 win or something.
Who was that?
It was like Kent State or somebody. I don't remember who it was.
I think Arkansas was close.
Let's see.
Can I count that?
Bring up the Alabama schedule here.
South Florida just only scored 17.
It was South Florida, yeah. 17-3.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't score well, but give them the 3. I mean,
but they went into the fourth quarter 3-3 with South Florida. They've had
that habit this year. That is definitely true.
That was the game that the quarterback. I always want to say Joe Milton. That's the Tennessee quarterback. Milroe, yes. That Milroe sat out. And I think there was some kind of issue. I can't remember. They started a Buckner and Simpson. It was like they half game for Buckner and half the game for Simpson, and they were god awful. It let them know that Milroe is their only shot at winning anything this year. So they put Milroe back in, and he has gotten better throughout the rest of the season.
It's been underwhelming, but he has gotten better. And I guess just win this game, focus on winning it first, then take a shot at Georgia and just try. See what happens. But
it's going to be a good game.
If Alabama doesn't make it, I'm going Oregon. If Oregon doesn't make it, I don't know. Like the worst playoff constellation I can think of right now it would be like Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, and Florida State. At that point, like I don't know who to root for. I kind of don't have it.
Yeah, and I'm not looking forward to playing Ohio State again if that happens, because we almost got beat by them last year. That was so close. We got close. Lucky with a last-minute missed field goal. It was a great game to people who are not fans of either school, but the fans of these schools are like, oh my God, dying the whole
terrible.
game.
Yeah, that was definitely terrible. That's true. I guess that's the best I can hope for if that happens. Right, I'm not a fan of anyone, so I'll just hope for good games. Guess that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
But
hopefully it's not Texas either.
Texas isn't going in. Yeah, no. Texas is not going in. I think Bama would always go in instead of Texas. I mean, Bama wins against Georgia, they go in. But what is the road for Texas to get in? Washington has to lose to Oregon State, and somehow Texas has to jump both of them to Oregon, and Texas has to jump both of them somehow. Which I don't see happening.
Like I said, I think Florida State loses, so I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't. It is Florida. Florida will give it to them, maybe. I don't know, but Yeah, 12-0. They have to be in there, I guess. Man.
Basically, like there's 3 games that will decide three playoff teams. Like the winner of Georgia Bama is in.
Yes.
The winner of Ohio State Michigan is in.
Yes.
And the winner of Oregon Washington's in.
Yes. And there's a scenario that could play out to where it's Ohio State, Michigan, Florida, and Georgia. That could happen.
It could be. So those 3 spots are locked in, and Texas is not neither of those games.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Probably not.
No. I think Texas is like the one team in the top 8 that really doesn't have a route to be in at all, because they just don't have that kind of game coming up anymore where they could prove it.
Yeah, they really don't, and I don't think they have the firepower. Now, if Arch Manning was actually the starter right now for Texas, they'd be trying to put him in there any way possible, because that's a ratings draw right there.
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely correct.
But hey, they're coming to the SEC next year, and Arch Manning will be their starter. I think Quinn Ewers is moving on, so we'll be seeing a lot of Texas in the future.
We definitely will. So we don't need him. We don't need him this year.
No,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. But all right, we will see how that goes. So on the NFL side, do we have anything to add for this week?
No, I think that's it for this week.
All right, then I hope everyone enjoys the games. We get football every day this week, Friday through Monday, if you include college. Every single day, 5 days in a row, we got football, which is great. Good to know. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we have some good outcomes there, by which I mean the teams that want to win, and the ones that don't. But we'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching. Leave us a like. As I mentioned, I didn't mention it this time actually, but it is the case every week. You can go vote for your favorite to win the NFL MVP on our channel page. Let us know who you think will win. Over the last few weeks, we've had quite a few people every week come in and suggest defensive players, which I admire the belief. But at the same time, there's no way that a defensive player is winning. I don't believe it. I don't see a non-quarterback winning MVP generally. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But a defensive player, even less so. That's what defensive player of the year is for. And you have a couple of guys there in position. But go vote for your MVP anyway. To us, we still go Tua, though I believe one more game like last week. And Tua with a mediocre showing, I might put Purdy up there again. Without even being a homer or anything, I might put him up there because he's, like, statistically speaking, he's been the best of this year. But we'll see how that develops. Let us hear what you think about all these games in the comments. Drop us a like, and we'll see you on the next one.
Deuces.